The Great Hall of the Galaxy Council was the largest room in the known universe. It floated in the center of neutral space, far from any star system, far from any conflict. The hall was built from crystal that glowed with soft blue light. Thousands of seats rose up in circles around a central platform. Each seat belonged to a different species. Each species had a voice. Each voice mattered. Or at least, that was what the council liked to believe. Ambassador of Earth stood at the entrance of the Great Hall. She was a small woman with black hair tied back in a simple style. She wore the gray uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. No decorations, no medals, just simple gray cloth. She looked plain compared to the other ambassadors. Some wore armor made of living metal. Others floated in bubbles of colored gas. A few existed only as projections of light. Looked like nothing special, but her heart was beating fast. Her hands were steady. She had practiced this moment 100 times. Today she would change everything. The council was already in session when she walked in. High Chancellor sat on the central platform. He was a tall creature with gray skin and 4 arms. His species, had led the council for 3,000 years. They were proud of their wisdom. They were proud of their peace. Noticed walking toward the speaking circle, he raised one of his 4 hands. "The chair recognizes Ambassador of Earth," he said. His voice echoed through the hall. "You may speak." Stepped into the circle. A beam of light fell on her from above. Every eye in the hall turned to look at the small human woman. "Thank you, High Chancellor," said. Her voice was calm and clear. "I have come to deliver an official message from the United Earth government." There was a soft murmur in the hall. Humans rarely spoke at council meetings. They had only been members for 50 years. In galactic terms, that was nothing. Humans were still considered newcomers. Children, really. Harmless children who were good at trading and building things. Leaned forward with interest. "Please proceed, Ambassador." Took a deep breath. 3 days ago, the Empire attacked the human colony on New Hope. They destroyed our orbital stations. They bombed our cities. They killed 47,000 human civilians. The murmur grew louder. Several ambassadors turned to look at the section of the hall. There were large reptilian creatures with red scales and yellow eyes. They were known for their military strength. They were known for their cruelty, but they were also known for following council rules. Ambassador of the Empire stood up slowly. He was massive, nearly 3 meters tall. His scales caught the light like polished stone. "These accusations are serious," said. His voice was deep and cold. "The Empire has done nothing wrong. The colony called New Hope was built in space that belongs to us. We simply removed an illegal settlement." Did not look away from him. New Hope was in neutral space. The council itself approved our settlement rights. We have the documents. "Documents can be wrong," said with a smile that showed his sharp teeth. "Mistakes happen. Perhaps the humans did not understand where they were building." Several ambassadors laughed softly. It was a common joke in the council. Humans were new. Humans made mistakes. Humans did not understand how the galaxy worked. Waited for the laughter to stop. Then she spoke again. "I did not come here to argue about documents," she said. "I came here to deliver a message." Nodded. "Please deliver your message, Ambassador." Turned to face the entire hall. She looked at the thousands of faces watching her. She looked at the creatures who thought humans were weak. She looked at the species who had laughed at Earth for 50 years. Then she spoke the words that would echo through history. "The United Earth government hereby declares a state of war against the Empire. This declaration is effective immediately. All vessels are ordered to leave human space within 24 hours. Any ship found in our territory after that time will be destroyed." The hall went silent. Completely silent. For a long moment, no one moved. No one spoke. The blue crystal walls seemed to glow brighter in the stillness. Then laughed. It started as a low rumble in his chest. Then it grew louder, louder. until the ambassador was shaking with laughter. Others in the hall joined him. The sound filled the great chamber like thunder. "War," said when he finally stopped laughing. "The humans declare war against us." He wiped a tear from his yellow eye. "This is the funniest thing I have heard in 100 years." Raised a hand for silence. His face was troubled. "Ambassador, I must ask you to reconsider. The Empire has 3,000 warships. They have conquered 12 species. Their military is one of the strongest in the galaxy." "I know," said. "Earth has no military," continued. "You have trading ships, you have construction vessels, you have exploration craft, but you have no warships, you have no army, you have no weapons." "You are wrong," said quietly. Blinked all 6 of his eyes. "What do you mean?" Smiled for the first time. It was a small smile, but there was something in it that made several ambassadors feel suddenly cold. "For 50 years humans have been peaceful," said. "We have traded, we have built, we have explored, we have made friends with many species. We have never shown anger, we have never shown violence." She paused. "Do you know why?" No one answered. "Because we chose not to," said. "We chose peace. We chose to be kind. We chose to be patient. We chose to believe that the galaxy was a good place where species could live together." Her smile faded. "But they have shown us that we were wrong. They have killed our people. They have bombed our children. They have laughed at our pain." She turned to face directly. Though was still smiling, but his eyes had grown cautious. "You think we are weak because we have been peaceful," said. "You think we have no strength because we have not used it, but you do not understand humans at all." "I understand enough," said. "I understand that your species is young and foolish. I understand that you will die quickly when our fleets arrive at Earth." Shook her head slowly. "No, you will learn something different. You will learn what happens when humans go to war." She pulled a small device from her pocket and pressed a button. A holographic display appeared in the center of the hall. It showed Earth. The blue and green planet floated peacefully in space. "This is our home," said. "For thousands of years, humans have fought each other on this small world. We have had wars that lasted decades. We have had wars that killed millions. We have developed weapons that could destroy our entire planet." She looked around the hall. "We became so good at war that we nearly ended ourselves." The display changed. It showed images from human history: soldiers marching, ships burning, cities in flames, mushroom clouds rising into dark skies. "When we reached the stars, we made a choice," continued. "We decided to leave our violence behind. We decided to be peaceful. We locked away our weapons. We disbanded our armies. We told ourselves that we would never fight again." The display showed happy images now. Humans building, humans laughing, humans shaking hands with aliens. "For 50 years we kept that promise," said. "But now," she pressed another button and the display went dark. "Now the promise is broken. Now we remember what we really are." Crossed his massive arms. "Pretty words, but words do not win wars. Ships win wars. Soldiers win wars. You have neither." "You are wrong," said again. She turned back to face. "High Chancellor, I have one more thing to say before I leave." "Speak," said. His voice was uncertain now. "Earth has spent 50 years building infrastructure across human space. Factories, shipyards, training facilities. We told everyone they were for civilian use. We told everyone they were for peace." Paused. "We lied." A ripple of shock went through the hall. "Every factory can make weapons," said. "Every shipyard can build warships. Every human colony has trained soldiers waiting for the call. We have been preparing for this day since we first joined the council. We hoped it would never come. We hoped we would never need to fight. But we always knew that peace is a choice, not a guarantee." Stood up from his chair. "Ambassador, how many ships can Earth produce?" Looked at him with eyes that had grown hard. "Enough." "How many soldiers do you have?" "Enough." Stepped forward, his smile finally gone. "You are bluffing. No species could hide such preparations for 50 years." Turn to face him one last time. The Empire will have 24 hours to leave human space. After that, we will come for you. We will not stop until your empire is dust. We will not negotiate. We will not accept surrender until we reach your. She took a step closer to him. You killed our children, Ambassador. You laughed while they burned. Now you will learn why every species on Earth learned the same lesson long ago. What lesson? Asked. His voice was quieter now. Turned and walked toward the exit. She did not look back as she answered. Never make humans angry. The doors of the great hall closed behind her. The council sat in stunned silence. Slowly lowered himself back into his chair. His 4 hands were trembling. In the section stood frozen. His yellow eyes stared at the closed doors. For the first time in his long life, he felt something he had never felt before. Fear. The galaxy was about to learn what humans could really do. And the lesson would be written in fire. The spy drones of the Galaxy Council were the most advanced technology in existence. They were smaller than grains of sand. They were invisible to all known sensors. They had watched civilizations rise and fall for 10,000 years. Now they watched Earth. High Chancellor sat in his private viewing room aboard the Council station. The walls showed live images from the drones. He had been watching for 3 days straight. He had not slept. He had not eaten. He could not look away. What he saw terrified him. This is impossible, he whispered to himself. Absolutely impossible. On the screen before him, a massive factory complex on Earth was transforming. 3 days ago, it had made civilian transport ships, simple vessels for moving cargo and passengers between colonies. The factory had been peaceful, normal, boring. Now it was making warships. Workers moved like insects across the factory floor. Machines that had made passenger seats now made weapons. Assembly lines that had built cargo holds now built armor plating. Giant robotic arms that had installed entertainment systems now installed missile launchers. The speed was incredible. Every hour, a new warship rolled off the line. Every hour, humans loaded it with weapons and sent it into space. Pressed a button and changed the view. Now he was looking at a different part of Earth, a shipyard in orbit around the planet. It had been building exploration vessels just 1 week ago. Now it was building something else entirely. Battle cruisers. They were massive ships, each one 3 kilometers long. They bristled with weapons. Their armor was thick enough to survive nuclear explosions. Their engines could push them across entire star systems in hours. And there were dozens of them, all being built at once. How, said out loud, how are they doing this? The door to his viewing room opened. Ambassador of the stepped inside. She was a small creature covered in soft blue fur. Her species was known for their intelligence and their caution. They had been watching the humans closely since the war declaration. High Chancellor said, I have the report you requested. Turned to face her. His 4 hands gripped the arms of his chair. Tell me everything. Activated a holographic display. Charts and numbers filled the air between them. We have counted the human factories across all their colonies, she said. There are 47,000 manufacturing facilities. Every single one has converted to military production. All of them. All of them. Within 72 hours of the war declaration, every human factory began making weapons, ships, armor, or supplies for war. Felt his heart's beating faster. He had 4 hearts and all of them were racing. How many ships have they produced so far? Hesitated. We are not certain. The humans have activated jamming technology we cannot penetrate, but based on what our drones can see, she paused. We estimate at least 2,000 warships already operational, with more launching every hour. 2,000 stood up so fast that his chair fell backward. In 3 days. Yes, High Chancellor, and the number is growing exponentially. By our calculations, they will have 10,000 warships within 2 weeks. 30,000 within a month. Walked to the viewing screen. He stared at the images of human factories working at impossible speed. He saw men and women working without rest. He saw children carrying supplies. He saw old people loading ammunition. Everyone was working. Everyone was building. Everyone was preparing for war. "The Empire has 3,000 ships," said quietly. "They have the third largest fleet in the galaxy." "Yes, High Chancellor." "And you are telling me that humans will have 10 times that number within a month?" "Yes, High Chancellor, possibly more. We cannot predict exactly how fast they will grow." Pressed his 4 hands against the screen, the images of working humans reflected in his eyes. He had led the council for 200 years. He had seen many wars. He had seen many species fight and die. He had never seen anything like this. "Change the view," he ordered. "Show me their military training." The screen flickered and changed. Now it showed a large open area on one of the human colony worlds. Thousands of humans stood in perfect rows. They wore simple combat uniforms. They held weapons that gleamed in the sunlight. A man stood before them on a raised platform. He was tall and strong, with a face that showed no emotion. His name was. He was a commander in the newly formed Earth Defense Force. Watched as spoke to his soldiers. The drones could not pick up the words, but they could see the effect. The soldiers stood. Their eyes grew harder. Their hands tightened on their weapons. Then gave an order, and the soldiers began to move. They practiced combat drills with terrifying precision. They moved as one unit, like a single organism with thousands of parts. They fired their weapons with perfect accuracy. They worked together with no wasted motion, no confusion, no mistakes. "They have been training," said softly. "For 50 years they have been training. Every human colony has hidden training facilities. Every human citizen has basic military knowledge. They called it emergency preparedness. They said it was for natural disasters." "But it was not," said. "No, it was for war. They have been preparing for war since the day they joined the council." Thought about all the times humans had seemed harmless, all the times they had smiled and traded and built things, all the times other species had laughed at them for being weak. It was all a lie. The humans had been waiting, watching, preparing. They had built their factories to be easily converted. They had trained their people in secret. They had developed weapons and hidden them away, all while pretending to be peaceful traders who wanted nothing but friendship. "They fooled us all," said. "They fooled the entire galaxy." The screen changed again. Now it showed a gathering of human military leaders. They stood around a holographic map of space. They were planning their attack. Commander pointed at different star systems. Other officers nodded and made notes. A woman with short dark hair stood beside him. Her name was, and she was the admiral of the First Fleet. She looked calm and confident, like someone who had been waiting for this moment her entire life. Studied her face. There was no fear there, no hesitation, only cold, careful purpose. "How many soldiers do they have?" he asked. Checked her data. "We estimate 50 million ground troops ready for immediate deployment, another 200 million in reserve and training, and every human citizen is required to know basic combat skills. If needed, they could arm their entire population." Their entire population. How many humans are there? Across all their colonies, approximately 12 billion. Sat down heavily. The Empire had a population of 8 billion. They had always thought themselves numerous. They had always thought themselves strong. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "They do not know what is coming," said. "They still think they can win this war." "Ambassador has refused all communication from the council," said. "He believes the humans are bluffing. He believes their declaration of war is just empty words." "He is a fool." "Yes, High Chancellor, he is." Stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the stars stretching into infinity. Somewhere out there, the humans were building their war machine. Somewhere out there, they were laughing at a species they did not understand. And somewhere out there, the galaxy was about to change forever. "I want to speak with Ambassador," said. "Perhaps we can negotiate. Perhaps we can stop this before it begins." "She has already left the council station," said. "She returned to Earth the same day she made her declaration. She said there was nothing left to discuss." "Nothing left to discuss. We are the Galaxy Council. We have resolved thousands of conflicts. We can find a solution." Shook her head slowly. "With respect, High Chancellor, I do not think the humans want a solution. They killed their children. They bombed their cities. They laughed at their pain." She paused. "The humans do not want peace anymore. They want revenge." Closed his eyes. He remembered Space when she made her declaration. He remembered the cold anger in her eyes. He remembered how the entire hall had fallen silent. She had not been asking for help. She had not been seeking justice. She had been delivering a warning. And no one had listened. "Contact the directly," ordered. "Bypass Ambassador, speak with their Emperor. Tell him what we have seen. Tell him what is coming." "Do you think he will listen?" "I do not know, but I must try. If the humans attack the Empire with the force they are building," he paused, "there will be nothing left. They will be destroyed completely, utterly, forever." Bowed her head. "I will send the message immediately." She left the room and was alone again with the screens. He watched the humans continue their preparations. He watched factories produce weapons. He watched soldiers train. He watched ships launch into the darkness of space. In all his years, he had never seen a species mobilize so quickly. He had never seen such efficiency. He had never seen such unity of purpose. The humans were not just going to war. They were becoming war itself. On the screen, Commander finished his briefing with Admiral. They shook hands formally, then turned and looked directly at the camera. Felt a chill run through his body. It was impossible. The drones were invisible. No technology could detect them. But was looking right at him. The human commander smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of a predator who had spotted its prey. Then he reached up and crushed the drone in his fist. The screen went dark. Sat in the darkness for a long time. His four hearts were still racing. His mind was filled with terrible visions of what was to come. The humans knew they were being watched. They did not care. They wanted the galaxy to see what they were becoming. They wanted everyone to understand what was about to happen. They had awakened something ancient and terrible, something that humans had tried to lock away, something that had slept for 50 years. Now it was awake. And it was hungry. The border fleet hung in space like a wall of red metal, 200 warships, each one massive and deadly. They had protected the edge of territory for 300 years. They had destroyed countless enemies. They had never been defeated. Fleet Commander stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Crimson Fang. He was the largest in the fleet, nearly 4 meters tall. His red scales were darker than most, almost black in places. His yellow eyes glowed with confidence. He was looking at a holographic display. It showed 5 human ships approaching his position. "Only 5, laughed. "They send 5 ships against 200. His second officer, a younger named Tal, studied the readings carefully. "Commander, these ships are different from the human vessels we have seen before. They are heavily armored. They carry many weapons." "So what? They are still human ships, small, weak, pathetic," crossed his massive arms. "Let them come. We will destroy them quickly and send the pieces back to Earth as a message." Tal was not so sure. He had read the reports from the Council. He had seen the images of human factories converting to war production. Something about this situation felt wrong. But he said nothing. His commander was always right. The 5 human ships continued their approach. They moved in a tight formation, perfectly synchronized. Leading them was the warship called Iron Dawn. Its captain was a man named. Captain sat in his command chair with his hands resting calmly on the armrests. He was a thin man with gray hair and calm eyes. He looked like someone's grandfather. He did not look like a warrior. But looks were deceiving. Had served in Earth's secret military for 30 years. He had trained for this moment his entire adult life. He had studied tactics. He had memorized their weaknesses. He had prepared strategies for exactly this situation. Now finally he would use them. "Status report," said quietly. His first officer, a woman named, checked her screens. "All systems operational, Captain. Weapons charged. Shields at maximum. The other 4 ships report ready." "And the fleet?" 200 warships in defensive formation. They are not moving to intercept. They seem to be waiting for us. Nodded slowly. They are overconfident. They think 5 ships are not a threat. He allowed himself a small smile. They are about to learn otherwise. The distance between the fleets shrank rapidly. 1,000,000 kilometers, 800,000, 500,000. On the Crimson Fang, watched the approaching ships with amusement. "Open a communication channel. I want to give these humans one chance to surrender." An officer activated the communication system. His face appeared on screens throughout both fleets. "Human vessels, this is Fleet Commander of the Empire. You are outnumbered 40 to 1. Power down your weapons and surrender immediately. If you comply, we will make your deaths quick." There was a pause, then a human voice responded. It was calm and almost bored. "Fleet, this is Captain of the Earth Defense Force. I am here to deliver a message from humanity." Leaned forward with interest. "What message?" "We remember New Hope. We remember the 47,000 people you killed. We remember the children you burned." His voice grew colder. "Now you will remember us." The communication ended. Blinked in surprise. Did he just threaten me with 5 ships against 200? Before anyone could answer, the human fleet attacked. The 5 ships split apart instantly, moving in 5 different directions. They accelerated faster than any ship could match. They twisted and turned through space like living creatures. Then they opened fire. Beams of pure energy sliced through the darkness. They hit the ships with devastating precision. The first volley destroyed 15 vessels before they could even react. Stared at his display in shock. What is happening?" "They are too fast," Tal shouted. "Our targeting systems cannot track them. They move faster than anything we have ever seen." The human ships danced through the formation like sharks swimming through a school of fish. They never stopped moving. They never presented a stable target, and they never stopped shooting. Another 20 ships exploded in balls of fire. "Return fire," screamed. "All ships return fire." The fleet opened up with everything they had. Missiles launched by the thousands. Energy beams cut across space in all directions. The darkness turned bright with weapons fire. But the human ships were not where the weapons were aimed. They moved constantly, unpredictably. The targeting computers were designed for normal enemies who moved in straight lines, normal enemies who slowed down to fire. The humans did neither. Captain watched his tactical display with focused intensity. His ship spun through space, dodging fire by meters. His weapons officer called out targets and approved each one with a nod. "Target that command ship," ordered. "The big one with the dark scales on the bridge windows." "Yes, Captain, firing now." 3 concentrated beams hit the Crimson Fang. The flagship's shields flickered and died. Armor plating melted like ice in summer. Secondary explosions rippled across the hull. On the bridge was thrown from his chair. Smoke filled the air. Warning alarms screamed from every console. "Damage report," shouted. "Shields are down. Engines are damaged. We have lost weapons on the port side." Tal was bleeding from a cut on his head. "Commander, we must retreat." Retreat pulled himself upright. Do not retreat. Commander, look at the display. Looked, his yellow eyes went wide. Of his original 200 ships, only 90 remained, and that number was dropping every second. The 5 human ships continued their deadly dance, destroying vessels faster than he could count. This is impossible, whispered. 5 ships cannot do this. 5 ships cannot defeat us. But they could, and they were. Captain guided his ship through a gap in the formation. He rolled to avoid a missile, then fired 3 shots in rapid succession. 3 more ships died. Captain reported, "We have incoming transmission from the flagship. They are requesting surrender." Raised an eyebrow, put it through. His face appeared on screen. He looked different now. His confidence was gone. His scales were covered in blood and ash. His yellow eyes showed something no had shown in 300 years. Fear. Human captain said, his voice was shaking. "We surrender, we accept your terms, please, stop." Looked at the face of his enemy. He thought about New Hope. He thought about the 47,000 people who had died. He thought about the children. Then he thought about his orders. "Fleet Commander," said slowly, "I have been ordered to deliver a message to the Empire. That message is not complete yet." His eyes went wider. "What do you mean? We surrender, you must accept our surrender." "Must I?" His voice was ice cold. "Did you accept surrender when you attacked New Hope? Did you stop when our people begged for mercy?" "That was different, that was murder, and this is justice," nodded to his weapons officer. "Continue firing, leave no survivors." The communication ended. Screamed orders to his remaining ships. Fight to the death, retreat, scatter, anything, but nothing worked. The human ships were everywhere and nowhere. They moved like ghosts. They killed without hesitation. In less than 2 hours, it was over. The border fleet was gone. 200 warships reduced to floating debris. 10,000 soldiers dead. The border that had stood for 300 years was now open. Captain stood on his bridge and looked at the destruction. His ship had taken damage. One of his crew was injured, but all 5 human ships had survived. 5 against 200, and the 5 had won. "Send a message to command," ordered. "Tell them the border is clear. The first fleet may proceed." Nodded, "Yes, Captain. What should I tell them about the battle?" Thought for a moment. "Tell them they fought with courage but without skill. Tell them their tactics are outdated. Tell them their weapons are too slow." He paused. "And tell them that when we reach it will be over quickly." The message was sent. The 5 ships regrouped and moved deeper into space. Behind them, the wreckage of the border fleet drifted in the darkness. Across the galaxy, the news spread like fire. 5 human ships, 200 ships, complete victory for the humans, no survivors on the side. Species that had laughed at humans stopped laughing. Ambassadors who had ignored humans started paying attention. And the Empire, for the first time in its long and bloody history, began to feel afraid. On the council station, High Chancellor watched the recordings from the battle. He played them again and again. He studied every move the human ships made. He analyzed every shot they fired. "Remarkable," he whispered. "Absolutely remarkable." Ambassador stood beside him. "They fought like nothing we have ever seen. Their ships are faster. Their weapons are more powerful. Their tactics are completely unpredictable." "It is not just that," said. "Look at how they work together. 5 ships moving as one mind. No hesitation, no wasted motion, complete trust and coordination." "How do they do it?" Shook his head slowly. "They have been practicing for 50 years, in secret, in silence. They have turned war into an art form." He paused. "And this was just the first battle. This was just a taste of what they can do. What will happen when their full fleet arrives?" Did not answer. He did not need to. They both knew what was coming. The Empire was about to face the full power of human war. and nothing in the galaxy could save them. General stood in the command center of the Earth Defense Force headquarters. Around her, hundreds of officers worked at glowing screens. Holographic maps floated in the air, showing every star system in space. Red dots marked positions. Blue dots marked human forces. There were many more blue dots than red. Was a small woman with gray hair cut very short. She looked like someone who should be running a school, not a war. But her eyes told a different story. They were sharp and cold, the eyes of someone who had studied war for 40 years. Now she was finally putting that study into practice. "Status report," she said calmly. Admiral approached with a tablet in her hands. "All fleet elements are in position, General. The first fleet has secured the border systems. The second and third fleets have entered territory. The fourth fleet is holding in reserve." And the scattered, confused. Their command structure has broken down. They are trying to reorganize, but we are not giving them time. Nodded with satisfaction. This was exactly what she had planned. The key to defeating them was speed. They were used to slow, careful wars. Wars where fleets lined up and faced each other. Wars where ground troops fought for years over single planets. The humans fought differently. They struck everywhere at once. They hit supply lines. They destroyed communication stations. They attacked from directions they never expected. By the time the enemy realized what was happening, it was already over. "Show me the 12 systems offensive," ordered. The holographic display changed. Now it showed 12 different star systems, all highlighted in yellow. They formed a ring around the core worlds, like a noose tightening around a neck. "We launch in 6 hours," said. 12 attacks, 12 systems, all at exactly the same moment. "They will not know where to send their reinforcements," said. "They cannot defend everywhere at once." "Exactly, and when they try to choose, we will already be moving to the next target." Studied the map with intense focus. "This offensive will break their military completely. After this, they will have no way to stop us from reaching there." A young officer ran up with an urgent message. "General, we have incoming communication from the Galaxy Council. High Chancellor is requesting to speak with you directly." Raised an eyebrow. "He wants to speak with me, not with Earth's government." "He says it is urgent. He says he has important information." Thought for a moment, then she nodded, "Put him through." A holographic image appeared before her. The High Chancellor looked tired. His 4 arms hung loosely at his sides. His skin had grown pale. "General," said, "thank you for accepting my communication." "High Chancellor, what do you want?" "I want to ask you to reconsider this war. They are willing to negotiate. They will pay reparations for New Hope. They will give territory. They will do anything to end this conflict." His face did not change. They had their chance to negotiate. They chose to laugh instead. That was Ambassador's mistake. He has been removed from his position. The Emperor himself has sent a message of apology. "Apology?" His voice grew colder. "An apology for murdering 47,000 people. An apology for burning children alive." She shook her head slowly. "No, High Chancellor, words are not enough." "Then what do you want? What will satisfy humanity?" Looked at the old alien for a long moment. Then she spoke in a voice that sent chills through everyone who heard it. "We want them to understand. We want every species in the galaxy to understand. We want them all to know what happens when you hurt humans. We want them to feel the same fear our people felt when the bombs fell on New Hope." She paused. "And when we are finished with they will understand. Everyone will understand." His image flickered as he shook his head sadly. "This is not justice. This is revenge." "Perhaps, but it is necessary revenge. For 50 years we showed the galaxy kindness. We showed them peace. We showed them friendship, and they looked at us and saw weakness." Eyes hardened. "Now we will show them strength, and they will never see us as weak again." "You will destroy an entire civilization." No, we will defeat them, we will humble them. We will take away their ability to hurt anyone ever again, but we will not destroy them completely. Paused. Unless they force us to. Was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke quietly. General, I have watched many wars. I have seen many species fight. I have never seen anything like what your people are doing. That is because there is nothing like us, High Chancellor. We are human. We love deeply. We feel pain deeply. And when we are hurt, she spread her hands, we fight more fiercely than any species you have ever known. I am beginning to understand that. Good, then you understand why this conversation is over. Turned away from the hologram. Tell them to prepare themselves. The storm is coming. The communication ended. 6 hours later, the 12 systems offensive began. In the system, Commander led a fleet of 300 ships against a defensive station. The station was supposed to be impenetrable. It had weapons that could destroy a planet. It had shields that could stop any attack. It fell in 4 hours. Forces swarmed around the station like angry insects. They found weak points in the shields. They exploited gaps in the weapon coverage. They moved so fast that the station's targeting systems could not keep up. When the station finally exploded, was already moving to the next target. In the system, Captain brought the Iron Dawn deep into enemy territory. His mission was to destroy the fuel depot, a massive structure that supplied half their remaining fleet. He completed his mission in 2 hours. The explosion was visible from 3 planets away. In the system, Admiral commanded the largest battle of the offensive. Her fleet of 500 ships faced a force of 800. The thought they had an advantage. They were wrong. Split her force into 5 groups. Each group hit from a different direction. They struck and retreated, never giving the enemy a solid target. They tried to respond, but their formations fell apart. By the end of the battle, 400 ships were destroyed. The rest fled in panic. Across all 12 systems, the story was the same. Human forces attacked with overwhelming speed and precision. Defenses crumbled. Ships burned. Stations fell. Ground troops landed on colony after colony, accepting surrenders from terrified soldiers. Back at headquarters, General watched the reports come in. Victory after victory. Success after success. Everything was going according to plan. General, an officer called out, "We are receiving a transmission from the Emperor himself wishes to speak with you." Turned slowly, put him through. A massive holographic image appeared in the command center. Emperor VII was the ruler of the empire. He was ancient, nearly 1,000 years old. His red scales had faded to pink with age. His yellow eyes were clouded with cataracts. But his voice was still strong. Human General said, "I am begging you to stop. We surrender completely and unconditionally. We will give you anything you want. Territory, resources, slaves, anything, just please, stop." Looked at the old emperor with no emotion on her face. "You are offering surrender now, after we have destroyed your fleet, after we have taken your colonies, after we stand at the gates of your—" "Yes, because if you attack billions of civilians will die. Children, families, people who had nothing to do with New Hope." His voice cracked with emotion. "Please, show mercy." "Mercy," spoke the word slowly as if tasting it. "You want us to show mercy?" "Yes. Like the mercy your forces showed at New Hope. Like the mercy they showed when they bombed hospitals, when they targeted schools, when they laughed at dying children." Lowered his head. "That was wrong, it was evil. I accept responsibility. Punish me. Punish my government, punish our military, but please, spare the civilians." General was quiet for a long moment. The entire command center watched her in silence. Everyone knew that the next words she spoke would decide the fate of billions of lives. Finally she spoke. "We are not like you. We do not murder civilians for sport. We do not bomb cities for fun. We do not laugh at the suffering of innocents." She paused. Your people will be spared, but your military will be destroyed. Every ship, every weapon, every base. You will be defenseless, and you will sign a treaty that ensures you can never hurt anyone again. We accept, said quickly. We accept all terms, just please no more death, no more destruction. There is one more thing. Anything, name it. His eyes grew even colder. The officers who commanded the attack on New Hope, the soldiers who dropped the bombs, the leaders who gave the orders, all of them will be handed over to us for trial. They will be punished under our own laws. No, they will face human justice in human courts under human law. Leaned forward. This is not negotiable. Refuse and we will reduce you to ash. Emperor was silent for a long moment. Then slowly he nodded. Very well. They will be delivered to you within 24 hours. Good, then we have an agreement. Straightened up. The human fleet will arrive at you in 3 days. You will surrender formally at that time. Any resistance will be punished severely. There will be no resistance. I give you my word. Your word means nothing to us, but your fear does. Nodded once. 3 days, Emperor, be ready. The communication ended. Admiral approached General quietly. Is it over? Did we win? Looked at the holographic map. All 12 systems were marked as captured. The Empire was broken. The war was essentially over. Yes, she said softly, we won, but this was never about winning. Then what was it about? Turned to face her admiral. It was about teaching the galaxy a lesson they will never forget. She looked around at all the officers in the command center. Humanity spent 50 years being underestimated, being laughed at, being treated like children. Now everyone knows the truth. What truth, General? Smiled. It was not a happy smile. Never make humans angry. There was a planet of red deserts and iron mountains. For 1,000 years it had been the heart of an empire. Its cities were massive. Its palaces were legendary. Its power was unquestioned. Now a human fleet hung in orbit above it. Ambassador stood on the bridge of the flagship Victory. Through the window, she could see the planet below. Billions lived down there. Billions of people who had been taught their entire lives that they were the strongest species in the galaxy. Today, they would learn otherwise. Ambassador, Admiral said, we are receiving a signal from the surface. They are ready for the ceremony. Good, straightened her simple gray uniform. Let us finish this. A shuttle carried down to the surface. With her came General, Admiral, and 20 human soldiers. They landed in the grand plaza of the capital city. Millions watched from buildings, from windows, from screens across the planet. Emperor waited in the center of the plaza. He looked even older in person. His scales were dull. His eyes were tired. He was surrounded by the remaining members of his government, all of them looking defeated. Behind them in chains stood the officers who had attacked New Hope. There were 37 of them. They stared at the humans with a mixture of hatred and fear. Walked slowly across the plaza. Her footsteps echoed in the silence. Every eye watched her approach. She stopped in front of the Emperor and spoke in a voice that was carried to every corner of the planet. Emperor of the Empire, you have agreed to unconditional surrender. You have agreed to disarm your military. You have agreed to pay reparations for the attack on New Hope. And you have agreed to hand over the war criminals responsible for the massacre. She paused. Do you confirm these terms? His voice was weak but clear. I confirm them. The Empire surrenders to humanity. Then, by the authority of the United Earth Government, I accept your surrender. Turned to look at the officers in chains. These criminals will be taken to Earth for trial. They will face justice under human law. One of the officers, a young commander with bright red scales, suddenly shouted, This is wrong. We should not be judged by lesser species. The soldiers around him stepped back nervously, but walked directly toward him. She was a full meter shorter than she had no weapons. She had no armor. But the officer fell silent as she approached. Looked up at him with calm, cold eyes. You dropped bombs on children. You destroyed hospitals. You killed innocents who had never done anything to you. Her voice was quiet, but it carried across the entire plaza. And you call us lesser. The officer said nothing. He could not meet her eyes. Turned back to face the emperor. The terms of surrender are clear. Your military will be reduced to a defense force only. You will never build warships again. You will never attack another species. And you will teach your children what happened here. You will teach them why it happened. You will make sure they never forget. We will remember, said. We will never forget. Good, paused and looked around the plaza at the millions of watching. Let me tell you all something. Humanity did not want this war. We did not want to hurt you. We came to the stars hopping to find friends, hopping to build a better future for all species. She began to walk slowly as she spoke. For 50 years we kept that hope alive. We traded with you. We helped you. We smiled when you laughed at us. We stayed peaceful when you called us weak. Her voice grew harder. But you pushed us too far. You killed our people. You murdered our children. And so we had to remind you of something that humans have always known. She stopped and turned to face the crowd directly. Peace is a choice. We choose peace because we know what we are capable of. We choose kindness because we have seen what happens when we are cruel. We choose gentleness because we understand our own strength. Her eyes swept across the watching. Do not mistake our peace for weakness. Do not confuse our kindness with inability. We are the most dangerous species in this galaxy. We have proven that to you. Now we hope we never have to prove it again. She walked back to stand before Emperor. The war is over. The punishment is delivered. Now we offer you something the Empire has never offered to anyone. She extended her hand toward the old Emperor. We offer you friendship. Stared at her hand. His face showed confusion, then surprise, then something that might have been shame. After everything we did to you, he said slowly, you offer friendship. Yes, because that is who we are. We do not hold hatred in our hearts forever. We do not seek eternal revenge. We wanted you to learn a lesson. You have learned it. Now we can move forward. Reached out with a trembling hand. His scales touched the skin. They shook hands slowly, formally. Around the plaza, a ripple of amazement passed through the watching crowds. Many had expected destruction. They had expected slavery. They had expected the same cruelty they had shown to others. Instead, they received mercy. Released the Emperor's hand and stepped back. There is much work to be done, reparations to be paid, refugees to be helped, trust to be rebuilt. It will take many years, but if you are willing to try, we are willing to help. We are willing, said. His voice was stronger now. We will try. Then this ceremony is complete. Turned and walked back toward her shuttle. General fell into step beside her. That was unexpected, she said quietly. I thought you would be harder on them. What would be the point? Replied. They are broken. They know what we can do. Making them suffer more would only breed hatred. Better to show them who we really are. And who are we, Ambassador? Smiled. It was the first real smile she had shown in months. We are humans. We can be the most dangerous species in the galaxy, but we can also be the most kind. Today we showed them both faces. They will remember both. 3 months later, the Galaxy Council met in full session for the first time since the war began. The Great Hall was packed with ambassadors from every species. They had all come to hear the same thing. High Chancellor stood on the central platform. His voice echoed through the chamber. The war between humanity and the Empire is officially over. The peace treaty has been signed. Reparations are being paid. The war criminals have been tried and sentenced. The galaxy is at peace once more. A murmur of relief passed through the crowd. But we must discuss what this war has taught us, continued. We must acknowledge what we have learned about humanity. He gestured and a holographic display appeared above him. It showed statistics from the war. Numbers of ships, numbers of soldiers, numbers of systems conquered. The war lasted 6 months. In that time, humanity produced over 20,000 warships. They mobilized over 100 million soldiers. They conquered the entire empire, a territory that took the 800 years to build. The numbers glowed in the air above the silent crowd. Before this war, many of us thought humans were weak. We thought they were young and foolish. We laughed at them. We dismissed them. Shook his head slowly. We were wrong. We were completely, utterly, dangerously wrong. He turned to face the section where Ambassador sat. She was wearing her simple gray uniform, looking just as plain and unremarkable as she had the day she declared war. Ambassador, on behalf of the Galaxy Council, I wish to offer an apology. We should have taken your species seriously from the beginning. We should not have allowed them to attack your colony. We should have done more to protect innocent lives. Stood slowly, the entire hall watched her. Thank you, High Chancellor, but apologies are not necessary. What is done is done. We cannot change the past. We can only build a better future. She walked down to the speaking circle. The light fell on her from above. Humanity has learned much from this war too, she said. We have learned that peace must be defended. We have learned that kindness can be mistaken for weakness. And we have learned that sometimes terrible things must be done to protect the ones we love. She looked around the hall at all the watching faces. But we have also remembered something important. War is easy, peace is hard, destroying is simple, building is difficult. She paused. We choose the harder path. We choose to build. We choose to help. We choose to be friends to all species who wish to be friends to us. Her voice grew stronger. However, let me be clear. We will never forget New Hope. We will never forget what it cost us to win this war, and we will never hesitate to defend ourselves again if we must. She spread her hands. We offer the galaxy friendship, but friendship requires respect. It requires trust. It requires understanding that humans are not weak, not foolish, and not to be tested. She looked at directly. Do all species here understand this? Do you all accept humans as equal members of this galaxy? The hall was silent for a long moment. Then, one by one, ambassadors began to stand. They represented hundreds of different species. They came from thousands of different worlds, but they all rose together. It was a gesture of respect, a gesture of recognition, a gesture that said, finally, humanity was seen for what it truly was. Bowed her head slightly. Thank you. Then let us move forward together. Let us build a future where no species attacks another, where all conflicts are resolved with words, not weapons, where children can sleep safely, knowing they will never be bombed in their beds. She walked back to her seat. The session continued with other matters, but everyone knew that something fundamental had changed. Humanity was no longer the strange newcomers. They were no longer the joke species that traded and smiled and seemed too nice to survive. They were humans, and the galaxy would never forget what that meant. Outside the great hall in the cold darkness of space, the stars burned on. They had witnessed the rise and fall of countless empires. They had seen species born and species die. Now they watched a new power take its place among them. Humanity had come to the stars with hope. That hope had been tested in blood and fire, but it had survived, and now it would grow. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humans prefer peace, but never, ever make them angry.